Hello YouTube, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I'll be giving you my early impressions on the Huawei P9's battery life. I know at times it takes me 2 to 3 weeks before I can come out with a full-fledged, detailed, dedicated battery performance video. However, in recent times people have been saying that if I can give them probably an early impression so that I can help them decide if they want to go for that phone. That's why I have now started doing these early impression videos, especially when it comes to battery life, so that you guys can make a decision and go ahead if you like the phone based on battery performance. I've had the phone only for about 3-4 days, guys, so these are my early impressions for the first 3 days only. Okay, as you know my style, I always take screenshots and give you details of how I use the phone and how the phone has been performing on the battery side. Okay, so let's take the very first screenshot I took, guys. There we go. There was the very first day I was using Wi-Fi and 4G mix. As you can see here, it goes to show Wi-Fi as well, and every now and then a 4G LTE as well. At times, as you can see here, guys, my mobile signal, wasn't present, because I work in a place where at times there's no signal whatsoever. That's why I turned the phone into airplane mode on, and that's why you can see the gap there in the middle, which says there was no network signal at the time. So when I do that, I normally switch the phone into airplane mode and then I start using Wi-Fi. Okay, and I kept on using it, guys. As you can see, screen was awake for a while, and Wi-Fi was on as well with a bit of 4G LTE. And after getting the battery down to 54% with Android system, using multiple apps in one go with SoundCloud, YouTube, all that kind of stuff, I was able to get 2 hours and 18 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 54%, and this was a mixed use of Wi-Fi and 4G both, but mostly Wi-Fi and less 4G LTE. Eventually I kept on using the phone with the same pace, using it heavily, SoundCloud, lots of YouTube videos, by the way, because I was also testing the speaker of the phone, which I will probably make a separate video on very soon. And eventually I was able to get 3 hours and 33 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 26%. And then I kept on using it further down again, guys, and once the battery went down to 5%, obviously the notification came up to recharge, to connect your phone to the charger, and I was able to squeeze out 4 hours and 24 minutes of screen on time. This is mixed usage, both 4G and LTE, and also Wi-Fi as well. Okay, as you can see, guys, this goes to show how heavy I was on the phone. In the background you can have a look and see how much each app is actually taken from the battery. Instagram app was taking 40 mAh, Facebook 35 mAh, Chrome 30 mAh, Swift key keyboard, WhatsApp, Twitter. And as you know, guys, I'm a YouTuber. I like to use my phone a lot. Lots of emails, notifications, social media sites, they consume a lot of power from the battery, and I'm constantly using my phone. So I wanted to show you guys this, how I was heavily using the phone and how my consumption levels were for each app that I used. And okay, this is the next one, down to 5%, guys, and again showing the same one again. I was able to squeeze over 1 day and 5 hours of overall usage, and with the total screen on time, which I showed you earlier before, that was around 4.5 hours of screen on time. Okay, next up again, I was using Wi-Fi as well and 4G LTE, again mixed usage, and at times you can see there was no network signal. Like I said, I was in airplane mode at work with no signal, and I kept on using it. And when the battery was down to 50% with a bit of mixed use, SoundCloud, Bluetooth streaming, Google Plus, Facebook, all that kind of stuff, I was able to squeeze out 3 hours and 8 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 50%. Now this is incredible. Here mostly I was using Wi-Fi, guys, and I've seen one thing: if your network signal is stable, if you're in an area where there are no dips in network signal and you have no issues of turning the phone into airplane mode or anything else, and the conditions are optimal, the phone can give you really good battery life, especially on Wi-Fi. So at 50% I was able to squeeze out 3 hours and 8 minutes of screen on time. Further down again, as you can see, heavy usage as well. Here again, not as heavy as before, but fairly heavy. And here you can see again down to 5%, and eventually after using Wi-Fi, 4G LTE here and there, not as much, mostly Wi-Fi, I was able to squeeze out 5 hours and 54 minutes of screen on time. And by the way, the brightness was kept around 60%, I would say. At times in the evening I had to lower it down because the screen gets too bright, and even for 1080p I think the Huawei P9 has got a beautiful screen, not too bad at all. So it can get really bright, especially at night time. It can hurt your eyes. That's why at times I was using it down to 40-30% as well, but mostly it was around 60%. So I was able to squeeze out 5 hours and 54 minutes of screen on time, which is again very good from a phone with only a 3000 mAh battery. But because the phone has got a 1080p panel, that's why that helps in making sure the battery is not consumed as much as you would for a Quad HD screen phone. Then I tested the standby drain, guys, at around 20 past midnight. The battery was down to 55% and I wanted to see how much would it drain. So when I got up in the morning at around 10 o'clock, guys, it had only lost 2%. As you can see in the top right corner, it says 53%. So here you can see in the first screenshot 55% and the next screenshot 53%. So in about 10 hours, I would say it only lost 2%. So well done, Huawei, for a very good standby drain. They have kept control, and the Kirin 955 along with 3 gigs of RAM and a 3000 mAh battery with Emotion UI optimizations is giving us very good standby drain. Not too bad. Once again, guys, I kept on testing it further down 5% and I was able to squeeze out in the end lots of YouTubing, lots of Google Plus, social media, Facebook, and I was able to squeeze 6 hours and 8 minutes of screen on time with battery down to 5%. So if you keep the brightness around, I would say 60%, 50%, and you use your phone normal regularly with Wi-Fi mostly, you should be able to squeeze out around 5.5 to 6 hours of screen on time. The screen on time is slightly higher here because, like I said, at night times, at certain times, I was keeping the brightness low because it was too bright, the panel. So that's why probably that helped is achieving slightly better screen on time. But I would say with average consumer using it heavily with Wi-Fi only, over 5 hours of screen on time should not be an issue. In fact, I would say 5.5 hours should be 100% on the cards. And depending on how you keep the brightness on the screen, that will eventually determine how much SOT you would get. But from my side, on Wi-Fi, thumbs up. So Huawei is doing a very good job so far. So guys, this is the early impression. This is all I could do in the last few days. As you can see, with mixed usage, you are getting at around 4 to 4.5 hours screen on time, 4G LTE and Wi-Fi. But with Wi-Fi, you're gonna get a far more superior performance with either 6 hours screen on time or 5.5 to 5 hours of screen on time, depending on how you use the phone. In about two weeks time from now, guys, I will be doing a full-fledged detailed battery verdict. I will explain you everything, including charging times, how long does it take the phone to charge, and a lot more with 4G LTE figures as well. Hopefully by then I will have spent enough time with the phone. Any questions, guys, please feel free to ask me in the comment section, and please subscribe to my channel, guys, as it helps, and I shall see you in the next video.